All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. It's that time of the week, folks. My weekly picks in the world of the National Football League. Week number 18, and it's the first time in close to 30 years that we can say that, week number 18. That, of course, there was a season in the early 90s when the NFL expanded to giving teams two bye weeks. This time around, 17 regular season games. So there's more action, and there's still plenty on at stake this weekend in regards to teams looking to make the postseason, clinch first round buys, and also clinch division titles. So let's see who's going to take care of business here in the finale of the 2021 NFL regular season. Now, tomorrow at Mile High, you're going to have the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Denver Broncos. Kansas City comes into this game looking to get some momentum for themselves as they're heading into the postseason. Of course, the Chiefs lost a heartbreaker last Sunday on the road to the Cincinnati Bengals. And with that said, they lost their position in the catbird seat as now it's not a slam dunk for them to get home field advantage throughout the AFC playoffs. The bottom line is you look at this, the Chiefs, they are the better team, but with that said, they cannot look past the Broncos, who are looking to end their season on a positive note. Kansas City's defense had their struggles last week with an explosive Cincinnati Bengals offense. I don't think that will be the case tomorrow afternoon. However, this Chiefs offense will have to worry about a staunch and vicious Broncos defense. I look at it like this. I think this is going to be a tough game for Kansas City, but they find a way to pull away late. And I'm going to take the Chiefs by the score of 30-20. Now, tomorrow night at Lincoln Financial Field, you're going to have the 11-5 Dallas Cowboys traveling to take on the 9-7 Philadelphia Eagles. Philadelphia has already clinched a playoff spot. And, they can't win the division title because that belongs to Dallas, but they still want to get some momentum for themselves. And it looks like Dallas possibly could be resting some key players in this game. So I think Philly is going to go out there and take advantage of that. And I'm going to take Philly at home by the score of 26-23. Now, moving on to Sunday, you're going to have the 10-6 Cincinnati Bengals traveling to take on the 7-9 Cleveland Browns. Now, these two teams met earlier in the season in Cincinnati, and it was Cleveland who got the best of the Bengals as they really dominated that game. And it looked like the Browns are going to get some momentum going for themselves and really, really take off and make another playoff push. But that was not the case. Of course, no Baker Mayfield in this game. His season is over. No Joe Burrow at quarterback either for Cincinnati. As the Bengals are looking to get him some rest before the playoffs, especially after he suffered that slight knee injury last week against the Chiefs. I think that the Browns take advantage of no Joe Burrow there, and because of that, I'm going to take Cleveland at home by the score of 23-17. Now in Motown, you're going to have the 2-13-1 Detroit Lions taking on the 13-3 Green Bay Packers. Green Bay comes into this game favored by 3.5 points. They've already wrapped up home field advantage throughout the NFC playoffs. And because of that, I don't expect Aaron Rodgers and a lot of key players for the Pack to play in this contest. Now, on the flip side for the Lions, they've played hard all season long under Dan Campbell. The wins haven't been there, but you cannot accuse this team of not playing hard. And I think they want to try to go out there and finish this season on a positive note. I think they take advantage of a lot of Packer players not playing. And because of that, I'm going to take the Lions at home by the score of 24-20. Now, you're going to have the Chicago Bears with a record of 6-10 traveling to take on the 7-9 Minnesota Vikings in a game that could be the last game for Matt Nagy as the head coach of the Bears, and it also could be the last game for Mike Zimmer as the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings. So both of these teams, they want to finish disappointing seasons on positive notes. But I look at the quarterback play here, advantage Vikings with Kirk Cousins. And because of that, I'm going to take Minnesota at home by the score of 24-17. Now at MetLife Stadium, you're going to have the 6-10 Washington football team taking on the 4-12 New York football Giants. Washington comes into this game favored by a touchdown. And this is a scenario where I expect the Boo Birds to be out early and often. at MetLife for the Giants. I mean, this has been a very disappointing season. This has been a very disappointing decade, or last 10 years rather, for the Giants organization. Um, Fans are not thrilled with co-owner John Mara. Fans are not thrilled with general manager Dave Gettleman, quarterback Daniel Jones, and of course head coach Joe Judge. So hopefully some changes can be made for that franchise. But with that said, the Giants are struggling immensely on offense. We saw it last week once again, as they were only able to muster 3 points on the road against the Chicago Bears. Problem now with the Giants offense, they're inept. And if you're facing the Giants, if you score 10 points in them, the game is over. This Giants team, I don't care what anybody says, they've given up. And because of that, I'm going to take Washington on the road by the score of 31-20. Now you're going to have the Indianapolis Colts with a record of 9-7 traveling to take on the 2-14 Jacksonville Jaguars. And Indy knows it's plain and simple. If they win, they're into the postseason. And who better to face than the lowly Jaguars when you have that situation? The Colts come into this game favored by 15 points. One thing you can say about Colts head coach Frank Reich, he always has his team ready to play. I think that the Colts will click on all cylinders in this contest. And because of that, I'm going to take Indy by the score of 34-17. Now, in Baltimore, you're going to have the 8-8 Ravens hosting the 8-7-1 Pittsburgh Steelers. And if this is truly the final game for Big Ben as a starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think it's only fitting for him to finish his career against the Baltimore Ravens. You just think back over the years and some of the classic physical matchups that the Steelers have had with the Ravens. Big Ben facing the likes of Haloti Nada, Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, and Terrell Suggs on that defensive side of the ball. For the Ravens, no Lamar Jackson once again at quarterback. They have to go with Tyler Huntley. And, this season is not ending the way that it started for the Ravens. They had a lot of high hopes. They've had some heartbreaking losses coming down the stretch, and because of that, they're probably going to miss the postseason. Both of these teams, they have a lot of pride. Both of these teams want to finish with a winning record, and I think you're going to see a physical brand of football that we're accustomed to seeing between the Steelers and the Ravens. The Ravens, they've been finding ways to lose these games in recent weeks, and I think that trend continues. As I'm going to take Pittsburgh on the road by the score of 23-20. Now in Houston, you're going to have the 4-12 Texans hosting the 11-5 Tennessee Titans. These two teams met earlier this season in Nashville, and it was the Houston Texans that pulled off the upset versus the Titans. Things are a lot different right now. The Titans know if they win this game, they get home field advantage throughout the AFC playoffs. And on top of that, Derrick Henry is expected to return at running back for Tennessee. Tennessee has still done a solid job running the football without Henry, and I think they want to get some momentum for themselves, or some more momentum for themselves heading into the postseason, while a long, frustrating, and tumultuous season for the Texans is coming to an end. And thus, I'm going to take Tennessee by the score of 34-20. Now, division rivals in Atlanta will get together. You're going to have the 7-9 Falcons hosting the 8-8 New Orleans Saints. Both of these teams have been up and down this season. The Saints still have an outside shot to make the postseason, and they want to try to finish on a positive note. And in doing so, they're going to have to rely on their defense in this one to get them past the Falcons. But the Falcons have been game all season long, and I expect Matt Ryan to have himself a big game on Sunday afternoon to knock the Saints out of the playoffs. And thus, I'm going to take the Falcons at home by the score of 27-20. Now, in Orchard Park, you're going to have the 10-6 Buffalo Bills hosting the 4-12 New York Jets. Buffalo comes into this game favored by 16 points, and they know that a win will give them the AFC East title, but they cannot overlook the game Jets, because we saw the Jets give the Tampa Bay Buccaneers all that they can handle and then some last Sunday before they bowed out in the final seconds. I look for the Bills defense to try to go out there and frustrate the youngster at quarterback for the Jets and Zach Wilson. I think that's going to be the key to the game. The Jets have only won one game away from home this season, and I think that trend continues. As I'm going to take the Bills in a big one by the score of 41-19. Now you're going to have the 9-7 San Francisco 49ers traveling to take on the 12-4 Los Angeles Rams. Los Angeles comes into this game favored by 4.5 points, but it's not a slam dunk that they win this game because the Niners have actually won their last five versus the Rams. So what's going to have to change for the Rams in this one? Number one, their defense is going to have to get after the Niners quarterback, whether that's going to be Trey Lance or Jimmy Garoppolo. We'll have to wait and see. You know that the Niners are going to want to run the football, so that means this Rams defense has the key on Debo Samuel. And then on top of that, the turnovers. Matt Stafford has been turning the football over too much recently for the Rams, and you don't want to have a turnover happy quarterback this late into the season heading into the playoffs. The Rams are going to have to work for this one. They'll pull away late, but the Niners are going to give them everything that they can handle and then some. But I'm going to take Los Angeles at home by the score of 30-17. Now in South Florida, you're going to have the 8-8 Miami Dolphins hosting the 10-6 New England Patriots. Now for Miami, their miracle came to an end. They were 1-7. They pulled off a long winning streak, but they had a reality check last week on the road versus the Titans. These two teams right here met in week number one, and it was turnovers that did the Patriots in as they lost at home to Miami. But the feel of both of these teams has changed a lot since then. This Patriots defense is playing a lot better. Rookie quarterback Mac Jones is playing a lot better as well. And I think the Patriots keep that momentum as they ride into the postseason with a 31-20 win over the Fish. Now, in the desert, you're going to have the 11-5 Arizona Cardinals hosting the 6-10 Seattle Seahawks in what could be the final game for Russell Wilson in a Seahawks uniform. You look at the Cardinals, they were struggling coming down the stretch. They got some momentum for themselves last week with the big win over the Dallas Cowboys, and I think they want to keep that trend continuing. And I'm going to take Arizona in this one at home by the score of 27-20. Now you're going to have the 12-4 Tampa Bay Buccaneers hosting the 5-11 Carolina Panthers. And for Tampa, they have some injuries. They have some guys out. They know that they're not going to get the first round bye, but they still want to get some momentum for themselves. But I expect them to rest most of their key players. Now for Carolina, they've struggled all season long. And even though that Tampa is resting some key guys, I don't see Carolina being able to take advantage of that. Thus, I'm going to take Tampa in this one by the score of 34-20. And finally, on Sunday night, it's winner take all on the Vegas Strip. And you're going to have the 9-7 Los Angeles Chargers clashing with the 9-7 Las Vegas Raiders. And the bottom line is the winner of this one goes to the playoffs while the loser goes home. Now, for the Chargers, they've had plenty of opportunities to salt away a postseason berth, but you know what? They have lost some games that they simply should have won. On the flip side, for the Raiders, it's been an up and down year. They've been dealing with a lot of distractions, but the bottom line is they've still found a way to be in contention. I want to see which defense puts pressure on the opposing quarterback. Is it going to be the Raiders defense against Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert, or is it going to be the Chargers defense against Raiders quarterback Derek Carr? Both of these quarterbacks can be turnover prone at times. So it's going to be interesting to see which defense takes advantage of that. Hunter Renfro has been big at wide receiver all season long for the Raiders, as has Josh Jacobs at running back. But the tandem of Mike Williams and Keenan Allen at wide receiver, what will they be able to give the Chargers in this contest? I think this is going to be a back and forth typical game between the Chargers and Raiders. You think about the time when the Chargers were in San Diego, and of course when the Raiders were in Oakland and even in LA, where these teams had some classic AFC matchups, and I think we're in for a doozy on Sunday night. I think that Allegiant Stadium on the Vegas Strip will be rocking, and I'm going to take the silver and black in this one by the score of 30-27. So, folks, those are my picks for week number 18 here in the 2021 NFL season. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take the time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. You can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, signing off, saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.